On a bright, sunny day, a woman ventures deep into the jungle to gather dry firewood. Without warning, the clear sky darkens and heavy rain begins to pour. Startled and disoriented by the sudden downpour, she slips and collapses onto the muddy ground. As she struggles to get back up, she notices a group of strange figures marching toward her. Their movements are unnatural, and nothing about them seems human. Panicking, she hides behind a large tree, holding her breath, but they quickly sense her presence. She tries to run, yet it is already too late for her to escape. Soon after, an old man from her village begins searching for her when she does not return home. While wandering through the dense jungle, he comes across a peculiar house standing alone in the wilderness. As he cautiously approaches it, the door creaks open on its own. In an instant, hundreds of hands emerge from inside and drag the terrified old man into the house. Later, the man crawls out of the earth nearby, covered in dirt and barely conscious. A few steps away, he finds his daughter sitting on the ground, crying softly. As he moves closer to comfort her, her face suddenly twists into something unrecognizable and horrifying. Weeks pass, and the entire town becomes aware of the old man's disturbing tale. Fear spreads quickly, and no one dares to enter the jungle anymore. However, a young woman named Yiling remains fearless. She boldly claims that she possesses powerful talismans capable of protecting people from the evil snakes of the jungle. She begins selling these talismans to the frightened villagers. Before long, loan sharks confront Yiling, demanding repayment. She tries to flee, but they chase her relentlessly through the streets. Just before they can harm her, a handsome stranger appears and intervenes. He beats the men mercilessly and even pays off Yiling's debt himself, sternly warning them never to trouble her again. However, this kindness comes with a condition. The man, Yufeng, demands that Yiling take him into the jungle to meet the old man. That night, they reach the old man's house, where they find him worshipping a mysterious and unfamiliar deity. Suddenly, the old man loses control and violently attacks them. Yufeng restrains him with great effort and manages to render him unconscious before anyone is hurt. While examining him, they discover patches of snake-like skin covering his body. Yufeng seems to recognize the condition and performs a ritual to stabilize him. The old man's son then reveals the truth. One night, he witnessed his sister performing dark rituals. Afterward, she entered a carriage that lifted itself into the air and carried her into the same jungle. Following her through a haunted gallery, he saw her dancing to entertain a group of strange beings. The group chose her as a bride and left, promising to return the next day. When her brother begged her to escape with him, she instead grabbed a large piece of meat, tied it with rope, and threw it into the mouth of a massive serpent. Together, they pulled it back out, and the meat had transformed into pure gold. Back in the present, the man explains that it was all part of his sister's plan to obtain gold from the giant snake to repay their father's debts. However, as payment, she was taken away for marriage and never returned. One night, Yiling goes out to gamble, hoping to win some money. While returning home, she senses a strange presence following her. She tries to hide, but a mysterious woman approaches her from behind and offers two chilling choices: to die in 3 days or in 5. When Yiling wakes up later, she finds Yufeng standing before her. She learns that the terrifying woman was actually a man from the gambling house attempting to rob her. Yufeng cannot understand why Yiling constantly risks her life for money, until he discovers that she secretly cares for a group of orphans and needs money to support them. One of the orphan girls, Sheila, tells Yiling that a child among them has been kidnapped by a strange woman named Li. Yiling remembers that Li was once kind-hearted, but after discovering her baby dead one day, she lost her sanity and took her own life. Now, it is said that her spirit wanders at night, kidnapping children. Yufeng refuses to believe this story. The following night, when a man attempts to kidnap Sheila, Yiling and Yufeng catch him in the act. Through him, they uncover a couple who sell kidnapped children to childless parents. When one of the children recognizes Yiling, the criminals attack, but Yufeng fights them off and rescues the innocent children. Determined to uncover the truth, Yufeng and Yiling investigate further and arrive at the dead woman's house, where her husband still lives. Sneaking inside, they discover a strange well. As Yufeng peers into it, the dead woman suddenly appears before him, begging him to seek justice for her. Later, Yufeng and Yi Ling secretly follow the dead woman's husband and discover that he has been having an affair with another woman for a long time. As they watch from hiding, a ghostly figure suddenly enters the room, looking exactly like the man's dead wife. Terrified, the husband drops to his knees and begins begging for forgiveness, blaming his lover for seducing him and ruining his life. The lover, however, speaks up and reveals the truth. She exposes how the man had always despised his wife, and had been cheating on her even while she was still alive. At that moment, the illusion fades, and the truth is finally revealed. It is Yi Ling who had disguised herself as the ghost, carrying out the plan she had carefully arranged with Yufeng. Soon, the husband breaks down completely and confesses, leading into a flashback. While the wife was away working to support the family, she discovered her husband's affair. Enraged and heartbroken, she confronted both of them. In response, the husband violently threw his pregnant wife out of the house. Despite the cruelty she suffered, she managed to survive and give birth to her child. Hoping to save her family, the wife gave her husband another chance, believing he might change. However, he continued meeting his mistress in secret. Eventually, both the husband and his lover committed an unforgivable crime, killing the woman's young daughter and her newborn son. Not long after, the woman herself was also murdered. After uncovering the truth, Yi Ling and Yufeng hand the guilty pair over to the police so they can atone for their sins. Next, Yi Ling leads Yufeng to a hidden location, claiming he might find clues related to the mysterious snake wedding. There, Yufeng notices the old man's son gambling recklessly. They follow him and return to his house, only to find the old man dead. The son claims that his sister, Ning, took revenge on their father. He then reveals what truly happened. According to him, loan sharks had forced the old man to sell his daughter to clear his debt. Terrified for her life, the daughter secretly gave her father a large sum of money she had saved over the years and disappeared without a trace. Now, the son insists that his sister returned as a vengeful spirit and killed the old man. Determined to dig deeper, Yi Ling and Yufeng return to town, where they encounter a strange man who always carries an umbrella. A woman explains that this umbrella man is believed to be haunted by Ning, the old man's daughter. When they question him, he reveals that he and Ning were deeply in love. When her father discovered their relationship, he became furious. One night, Ning came to him, begging to run away together. They fled that very night and took shelter in an abandoned house. The man recalls briefly seeing a strange statue that seemed to turn into a living figure. When he woke up the next morning, Ning had vanished without leaving any trace behind. Although Yi Ling believes the man's story and feels his love was genuine, Yufeng remains suspicious and feels many questions remain unanswered. Later that night, the umbrella man is confronted by a mysterious figure who claims that Ning's soul is trapped in hell and wishes to marry him. Overwhelmed by fear and guilt, the man finally confesses everything. Ning had come to him willingly, and they were married in secret. However, his mother never accepted Ning and constantly accused her of being unfaithful. When Ning gave birth to a baby girl, the mother-in-law became enraged. Using cruel traditional practices, she falsely proved that the child was not her son's, pressuring him to abandon Ning. Eventually, the umbrella man took Ning to the abandoned house one night and left her there alone. Now that Yi Ling and Yufeng know the full truth, one mystery still remains unanswered. Who took Ning away from the temple? Soon after, they witness a disturbing scene in town. A wife is openly bullying and humiliating her husband. When Yi Ling and Yufeng try to intervene, the woman arrogantly argues that she has every right to treat her husband however she wants. She continues abusing the quiet man until he can no longer endure it and collapses. Panicking, the wife turns to Yi Ling and Yufeng for help. Yufeng initially refuses, pointing out how cruel and disrespectful she has always been toward her husband. Desperate and frightened, the wife begs them to save him, admitting that he is the only man who has ever tolerated her unbearable temper. Yufeng accepts the woman's desperate plea and gives her something to drink. While her husband remains unconscious, she is forced to take over all the household work he used to do every day. Exhausted and overwhelmed, she finally realizes how hard-working, patient, and kind her husband truly is. As she breaks down in tears, the darkness that had taken hold of the man slowly fades away. The evil within him disappears, and he wakes up calm and healed, free from the torment caused by years of emotional abuse. With this case resolved, Yi Ling and Yu Feng barely have time to rest before another mystery emerges. A man close to Yi Ling approaches them, claiming that his daughter has gone missing after attending a performance at the opera house. They track down the performers, who insist they are innocent. They appear poor and struggling, merely artists trying to earn a living through performances. Although nothing openly suspicious is found, Yu Feng senses that something about them is deeply unsettling. Just as the police prepare to execute the opera leader under suspicion of murdering the missing girl, the girl suddenly reappears. She throws herself in front of him, begging the authorities to spare his life and release him. Even though the girl has returned safely, the police keep the opera leader in custody. Yi Ling and Yu Feng soon learn that the girl and the opera leader are secretly in love. However, because the leader's face is scarred and considered unattractive, he believes he is unworthy of her. The girl had only gone searching for him and returned once she heard he had been imprisoned. Despite her devotion, the opera leader still refuses to accept her love, convinced that he is not a suitable match for her future. The next day, tragedy strikes. Yi Ling and Yu Feng find the girl dead inside her own home. Her father claims that he saw her wandering outside late at night, as if sleepwalking, before she was possessed by something in the woods. Later, he found her lifeless body inside the house. To uncover the truth, they return to the opera house, which once again leads them to the abandoned house where Ning had disappeared. Inside, they discover a man locked inside a box, terrified and seemingly unaware of what is happening around him. They return and confront the girl's father. Yu Feng reveals that he examined the body and found injuries all over her, suggesting violence rather than possession. Enraged, the father refuses to answer any questions and forcefully throws them out of his house. Soon after, the ghost of his dead daughter appears, driven by vengeance. The next morning, when Yi Ling and Yu Feng arrive at the house again, they find the father dead. A note lies on the table nearby, triggering a flashback that reveals the horrifying truth. Despite his daughter's refusal, the man had sold her to a wealthy family as a bride. When the girl ran away, the rich groom beat the father brutally. Later, when the family found the girl again, she had already lost her sanity after encountering something terrifying at the abandoned house. The groom demanded a refund, but the father had no money left. In desperation, he sold his daughter once more. When he finally returned home, he found her dead. Even so, Yu Feng believes that these murders are not acts of revenge by spirits alone. He suspects they are being committed by the strange figure people keep seeing just before every tragedy occurs. To draw the culprit out, Yi Ling and Yu Feng spread false news that the killer has been captured. As expected, the real murderer takes the bait. That night, the mysterious figure appears, attempting to harm another innocent person. Before he can succeed, Yu Feng and Yi Ling confront him and catch him red-handed. The culprit attacks them and tries to poison them, but at the last moment, the Umbrella Man appears and saves them, finally taking revenge for Ning. The truth is then revealed. The killer is none other than the old man's son. A flashback exposes the final secret. The old man never had a daughter. He only had a son. To continue his family line, he had bought Ning from smugglers and planned to force her into marrying his son. However, the son pitied the frightened girl. He fed her, protected her, and begged his father not to force her into a marriage she did not want. Furious, the old man demanded that Ning repay double the money he had spent on her if she wanted her freedom. Until then, she was forced to live under their roof. The son tries to clear his name, insisting he never harmed Ning. But the Umbrella Man refuses to believe him, accusing him of killing the woman he loved. The old man's son then claims that it was because of the Umbrella Man that Ning grew to hate him and ultimately rejected the marriage altogether. Frustrated and consumed by his desire, the old man's son once tried to force himself on Ning. Ning resisted fiercely and pushed him away. The commotion was overheard by the old man, who listened from outside and, without hesitation, decided to sell Ning to a brothel. When the son heard his father's cruel plan, his conscience finally broke through his fear. Out of genuine kindness, he released Ning, revealed everything his father intended to do, and helped her escape the house that very night. From that moment on, the old man's son blamed the Umbrella Man for Ning's disappearance, believing his presence had set everything in motion. As confusion deepens and no one can piece together the full truth, an unbelievable moment occurs. Ning suddenly appears before everyone, alive and unharmed. Shock spreads instantly. Yufeng questions her directly, asking why she had been hiding for so long and whether she had any role in the murders that followed. Ning finally confesses. One night, she encountered the opera leader's girlfriend hiding in terror inside the abandoned house. Ning witnessed a man dragging the frightened girl back to her cruel father. She watched helplessly as events unfolded, and when the innocent girl eventually took her own life, Ning was consumed by rage. Overwhelmed by grief and fury, she killed the girl's father and deliberately left behind a fake note to mislead everyone. She also admits that she was the one who killed the evil old man. When the Umbrella Man tries to reclaim Ning and pull her back into his life, she remains distant and emotionally withdrawn. A flashback reveals the reason. Ning had once returned to her in-law's house, hoping for acceptance, only to overhear her vicious mother-in-law planning to sell her back to the old man. Her heart shattered completely. Seeking revenge, Ning first poisoned her cruel mother-in-law. Later that same night, she tried to stab her husband, the Umbrella Man, while he slept. However, when the moment came, she could not bring herself to kill him, as she truly loved him. When the Umbrella Man discovered that Ning was responsible for his mother's death, his grief turned into uncontrollable rage. Driven by revenge, he attacked Ning and tried to strangle her. Ning did not resist. Instead, she remained still, almost accepting, as if cherishing the closeness they once shared. Unable to bear the sight, the mentally disabled man intervened. In desperation, he stabbed the Umbrella Man, saving Ning's life. Ning then fled with the disabled man. When the old man's son attempted to chase after her, fate intervened cruelly. The nameplate of the abandoned house suddenly fell on him, killing him instantly. With the woman kidnapping case finally solved, Yufeng is unexpectedly reminded of his own past. His thoughts return to his mother, who had disappeared in a disturbingly similar manner years ago, a mystery he has never been able to solve. One night, Yufeng's mother suddenly appears at his house, as if she had never been gone. The next morning, Yiling notices something unsettling. Yufeng seems unusually happy, glowing as though something miraculous has happened. Smiling warmly, he goes inside and lovingly offers his mother a meal he has prepared with his own hands. However, when Yiling enters his room later, she finds him speaking softly to himself. Alarmed, she rushes to bring Yufeng's uncle. He too witnesses Yufeng behaving strangely, holding someone's hand with affection, even though no one is there. That night, Yufeng carefully prepares a bed for his mother, gently arranging it so she can rest, completely unaware that the woman he sees exists only in his mind. At the same time, Yiling arrives at Yufeng's doorstep, pretending that she has cooked a meal for his mother. She steps inside the house and quietly looks around, only to find the bed completely empty, untouched, and cold. When Yufeng begins feeding his imaginary mother with gentle care, Yiling can no longer hold herself together. Overwhelmed with grief and anger, she begs him to come back to reality. She shakes him and insists that there is no one there, telling him the painful truth that his mother has been dead for a long time. Yufeng refuses to accept a single word she says. Blinded by denial. The next morning, when Yufeng realizes that his mother is nowhere to be found, panic consumes him. He frantically searches for her and, unable to process the truth, lashes out at Yiling, blaming her for his loss. Seeing his condition worsen, Yufeng's uncle strikes him hard, knocking him unconscious to stop him from harming himself further. Later, a ritual is performed to cleanse his mind and break the illusion that has taken control of him. Once Yufeng regains clarity, he approaches his uncle, desperate to learn the truth about his parents. The uncle hesitates at first, burdened by guilt, but when Yufeng breaks down and begs him, he finally gives in. The uncle reveals the past he has kept buried for years. He confesses that he fell deeply in love with Yufeng's mother, and the two began a secret relationship. Eventually, they ran away together, leaving a note behind for the family. However, after a few months, Yufeng's mother returned home alone. Yufeng's grandmother persuaded the elder brother to accept the woman as his wife, hiding the truth to protect the family's honor. For a time, they lived peacefully, and the woman even had children with the elder brother. Years later, the uncle returned, unable to stay away any longer. By then, everything had changed. One tragic day, the elder brother caught Yufeng's mother meeting his younger brother in secret. Overcome with rage and betrayal, he strangled her to death. Consumed by guilt and despair, he then took his own life. In that moment, Yu Feng finally understands everything. He learns that the man he called his uncle is actually his real father, and that the choices surrounding him led to his mother's death. Crushed by the truth yet strangely liberated by it, Yu Feng decides to leave everything behind and begin a new life far away from the past. Yiling chooses to follow him, standing by his side as his partner, ready to face whatever the future holds together.